Hello, everyone. So, I have a pretty interesting topic to speak about in this particular video, which is going to be a topic that I know is definitely going to have some people maybe wondering where I sit with this information, where I sit with this opinion, or not necessarily where I sit, because like this is going to be a first video on this channel. The people that are going to watch this are not going to give necessarily a bigger fuck about what I think or what I don't think, but I do know how K-pop fans usually are. I am a K-pop fan also. I've been one for quite a few years by now, and so I do know somehow at least, or at least a little bit, how it usually works. And so I want to just put out the disclaimer here that everything and everyone I'm going to be speaking on in this video, I am not going to be speaking on in a negative way. The K-pop groups I'm going to be speaking about, which in this case are going to mostly be BLACKPINK, ITZY, and NEWJEANS. None of these groups are going to be seen or talked about in a negative way. If I see any comments that speak about them in a negative way, I will be also deleting those because I do not feel like we need that. There's plenty of K-pop YouTubers out there who are just doing videos talking shit about people and talking shit about K-pop groups so that they can get a few more views, even if those views come from people literally hating their guts. I'm not someone that accepts that. I'm not someone that can do that. I would literally die from anxiety if I had actual people like hating me in the comments. And I know that's probably going to happen anyway because that's just how it is. That's just how it works. People do not watch until the end. People do not care to listen into everything you say and will take everything you say out of context. That's how K-pop works. I know that. Unfortunately, that's just the reality of fandoms nowadays as well. Most groups are pretty amazing and their fans kind of ruin them for me and for mostly everyone else. And as a multi-stan in particular, I can say this because I'm someone who finds themselves a lot of times in the middle of literal fan wars, and I'm like, I feel like a child of divorce, where like, I love mom and I love dad. Why can we not love both? But it's pretty interesting to just in general speak on this topic, I feel like personally, because I'm seeing this topic more and more so every single day happening to other and newer groups. And I find that it's happening like quicker and quicker each time, which is so ridiculous. And so basically the topic of this and what I'm going to be speaking about in this video is the fact that K-pop stans just feel this general need to tell their groups, their favorite groups, to switch it up, to change it up, to do something different. Yet once that group ends up, English, ends up being bullied into changing their concept or into changing their sound, or does try and change their sound, even if it's just like with one title track or something like that, to see how the fans will react. They react the exact way I expect them to, which is by not showing support. Because suddenly they prefer the old style. And that's something that I feel like is seen a lot. And I'm the first one to say that K-pop groups should hear what their actual like fans say more often. Because if there's anything that I know and should and would say is that K-pop fans a lot of times are pretty right about the opinions that they give when it comes to maybe title track choices or concept choices, like when they literally just say, I would love to see this group do this concept. That sometimes goes very well, and I feel like companies should listen to the fans more often in terms of that. But once a company is out here trying to really just like take every single piece of advice that they see being like maybe a bit major on social media, that's where I kind of go like, okay, yeah, the fans are out here and they're definitely giving you an opinion, but like, you also need to still continuously work inside of the company in a professional way to make this happen. Good, in a good way, I guess you could say. Basically, to start off, this started, at least for me, a few years ago when BLACKPINK was having a comeback. I think the first comeback that I personally followed of Blackpink was Kill This Love. And let's just say that, of course, Kill This Love was coming in hot. Over a year after Do 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 came out, and people were clearly, and as per usual, expecting a Blackpink comeback because they hadn't gotten one in such a long time. And so I saw a lot of people being like, I wanna see this. I'm so excited for this. And at the time, I was at the start of the fandom, so I feel like I got a very nice experience of people waiting for the comeback. And the comeback happened, and I saw just positive notes of people loving it. And once I started during promotions to get a bit deeper into the whole Twitter reality of K-pop and just in general the fandom reality of K-pop, I started to realize that a lot of people claiming to be fans were very much complaining about the fact that Kill This Love sounded the exact same as any other Blackpink song in their opinion, which, as a spoiler alert, I do not agree with, but everyone was basically saying that because Blackpink clearly has what we nowadays know and what is used a lot with other K-pop groups as well, a formula. The interesting thing about K-pop groups having a formula, in my opinion, is that it's not a bad thing. I love groups who I know what to expect about. I love groups when I know that generally, like, their music is gonna sound in a way that I appreciate. And particularly what I think happened in Blackpink's case, what also happened a few years later in ITZY's case, and what, in my opinion, unfortunately, is already starting to happen years now later with NEWJEANS, is that somehow people tend to compare formula to recycling when that's not what is happening. Basically, with ITZY, it came up and happened once again as well. They had 3 amazing comebacks, if I'm not mistaken, with Dalla Dalla the debut, then Icy, and then Wannabe. And weirdly enough, ironically enough, Wannabe was and continues, I believe, to be their most famous comeback. It was the comeback that did the best in terms of just like generally having the public there present, although they have been doing better in terms of numbers every comeback after that. But I feel like you cannot really say that the other comebacks have had the impact that Wannabe had. Clearly, Wannabe became a very much a viral hit. Of course, because of the shoulder dance and everything else, but generally because also it was an amazing song and it was amazingly produced and it had the ITZY formula. It did not sound like Icy, it did not sound like Dalla Dalla, but it had that typical like ITZY, very teen crush, very like, you know, those typical sounds that ITZY had. The production gave ITZY. It was so ITZY. And it was one of those situations where you could listen to the song and you would go, that's ITZY. I know that's ITZY. And I feel like that was ITZY having a formula. That was ITZY having their own personal like touch. But once Wannabe came out, I started to see a lot of people being like, they always do the same thing. They always talk about the same stuff. They need to switch it up. JYP needs to give these girls a better song. And I'm like, the song is great. I don't know what we're complaining about. Like, I get it. Yes, ITZY, in terms of message in their songs, was getting repetitive because their songs were mostly about self-love. But in terms of production, I feel like there was nothing to complain. Dalla Dalla did not sound like Wannabe. Dalla Dalla definitely did not sound like Icy. And Icy definitely did not sound like either Dalla Dalla or Wannabe. Although they use the same formula, and you could definitely say that their songs have similarities in terms of the percussion that they use or sounds that they might use, stuff like that. And in terms of that, even there's videos out there literally of people being like, how ITZY's song is gonna be, probably. And it's literally like pretty similar to how the song may actually be. Um, I don't feel like their songs were getting repetitive in terms of production. But what happened? Well, they ended up switching it up because people were wanting it. They switched it up a little bit in Not Shy, although there still felt a bit like there was a formula there. And then they completely switched it up in Mafia in the Morning, and then completely switched it up again in Crazy in Love. I do believe that's the name of the song. And that is to show that mostly, while they continue to release amazing music, in my personal opinion, what started to happen was that the general public somehow was not enjoying the fact that ITZY was doing exactly what a lot of these people bullied them into, which was change up. They wanted to see them speak about something else, they wanted to see them do something else. And when the company actually tried to do something else, although I do feel like that was where the issue was also. Like with BLACKPINK, there have been like what, maybe 5 years, 6 years into their career without BLACKPINK doing a change, and with BLACKPINK still releasing like 3 to 4 songs once a year, and those songs being pretty similar. So I kind of understood a bit more why people wanted them to do something different and why people wanted them to start maybe taking some risks. With ITZY, I did not understand this complaint because ITZY was in their second year at that point. ITZY had literally just started, and they literally didn't even give them a chance to organically and with time end up having a normal change. I do feel like ITZY clearly would not have continued with the same topic. They couldn't do 1,000 songs speaking about self-love. They probably would have changed the topic of self-love either way at some point or another. And I do feel like maybe even change their formula, because their formula was very teen crush, and of course at some point they would not be teens anymore, just like Twice, for example, and there would be an organic change that would end up start happening with the ages of the members also changing and everything else. I feel like in that sense JYP actually does a pretty good job, although I do have some complaints as well as how they treat Twice in terms of their musical style. And I do feel like one thing that JYP seems to not have been able, or the company in itself seems to not be able to do very well with the groups that they manage that do not like self-produce themselves, is these change-ups in concepts. A lot of times with Twice, for example, there just feels like, I, for example, at least, feel like sometimes I just want to see them settle in something. Twice did an amazing job in a concept like Fancy. I expected to see more of that. Then they did Feel Special, which was very different, but it felt great as well. And then they did another concept completely different, and they've been doing very well in every single concept. It just creates, for me at least as a fan, this sort of thing where I go, I have no clue how their song is gonna sound, and I cannot tell you that I'm gonna like it, because I'm not one of those like industrial fans that is out here just eating a song up, even if that song just is not for me. So I feel like in that sense, I personally prefer someone or a group that is a bit more like, I know what to expect. And maybe that's why my opinion on this topic is the way it is, and I might be biased in that sense. But I feel like it's just ridiculous to tell a group, hey, you need to switch it up. And then once that group does switch it up, you go, maybe not this way. And it's like, well, it's gonna be impossible for a group to switch it up exactly the way you wish for them to do, because there's thousands of fans asking for different things, and a company is not going to be able to just fulfill every single one of your dreams. So you're going to have to accept that a group is going to have to just organically switch up and change up. That's why I feel like there's no need to bully a group into switching up just to then hit them with the hate train of, oh God, like, your switch was not good. I personally felt extremely bad for how ITZY was being treated. I hated the way people treated and have treated and continue to treat ITZY. And at this point, it almost feels like, I personally at least feel like they can't do anything right because people always try to find something that they can shit on. And then they try to mask it by saying that they're shitting on JYP when they're truly still continuously only shitting on the members. And it's clearly obvious also by now with what they're doing in terms of promotion for the new album and the album documentary, how much this has affected the girls themselves. And it's horrible to see. It's like really horrible to see. And I really hope that with this album in particular, although I do feel like it's going to be much better because I've heard the like album spoiler. And I'm hoping, because it sounds like at least it's gonna be a song that might change people's minds once again, and I really hope it does. I don't necessarily like the fact that it's needed for a song that is maybe more generic to come out so that people like them again, but in a way I hope still that it happens just because I want to see those girls feel that confidence that they felt in the beginning in their own talents, because they're there, of course, and so they should feel that confident. Switching it up to recently and to NewJeans, which clearly since they came out have taken the fucking industry by storm as literal children, but with immense talent and with a great team behind them. I feel like NewJeans just did what a lot of groups dream of being able to do, of course. And I'm not gonna lie, I love NewJeans music. I am one of those people who in the beginning was kind of like, I could say even a bit iffy about their ages. I'm not gonna lie. Of course, they're very, very young. And in terms of the industry, that immediately did scare me a lot because knowing how the industry is, it should scare everyone how young these girls are and how young they're going into the industry. But I also personally feel like we should not be not letting people have a dream and experience that dream just because they're young and the industry is horrible. We should try and make the industry better so that they actually are able to be in the industry. It's kind of like, oh my God, no, the girls are going to be sexualized. Don't let minors into the industry. And I'm like, even if they're not minors, we should not just in general be sexualizing maybe. Because, even if you're not a minor, you might not enjoy that. Like, why are we only protecting the minors? We should definitely be protecting the minors. But we should maybe also be trying to change the industry in a way, because we play a big part of it. But whatever, that's maybe a story for another time. But NewJeans, who literally just had their first anniversary yesterday when I'm filming this, I don't know how many days it's gone by since when you guys are going to see this, but literally they did their first anniversary yesterday. And they've had an amazing comeback so far. They've promoted a lot of songs. A lot of MVs have come out. And the album, in general, came out yesterday as well, when I'm filming this. And the thing that I started to see a lot of was people complaining about the fact that every song sounds the same. And that NewJeans is entering the formula era of their life and of their career, and that you just expect what the songs are going to sound like and this and that, and complaining basically about the same thing that they've done with BLACKPINK and ITZY. And let me tell you, when I started to see these mother effing TikToks and these mother effing YouTube videos of people saying that the album is repetitive and that their music just sounds the same and stuff like that in a negative way, I got pissed. Because like really, like, I'm sorry, but are you really gonna sit there and tell me that hybe sounds the exact same as hurt. And that hurt sounds the exact same as cool with you. And that cool with you sounds the exact same as super shy. And that super shy sounds the exact same as ETA. And as ETA sound, no. These songs are completely different. These songs have very different sound-wise bases. They have, and I will say this, NewJeans does have a formula in terms of their percussion. They tend to use the same type of percussion or similar types of percussion. And they do have those specific like synths or maybe melodies that do feel similar. But in no way do these songs sound the same. And in no way do I feel like you can actually sit there and tell me already 1 year into their career that NewJeans is being repetitive. All of their songs are quite unique in their way. They have similar aspects, but in no way are they repetitive. And if we're gonna start with this shit already, like I'm going to get pissed. And generally speaking, already we know that there's a switch up coming now because NewJeans themselves have said and have spoken up about the fact that Get Up, which is one of the most like different sounding songs, because it's more of an R&B vibe. Sorry, the way I said that was weird, but R&B vibe. And a lot of people were complaining about the fact that the song is like 36 seconds long or something like that. And Hani, if I'm not mistaken, has said that it's supposed to be more like an appetizer of the music that NewJeans is going to be doing in the future. So next probably comeback, they're going to do something a lot more in that vein, so to say. Which is definitely going to be different, of course, in terms of what they've done so far. And I already am scared because I'm like, I like it and I think it's going to be good for them and I think it's going to be a nice switch up. But in the same vein, I'm like, I know people are complaining about them being repetitive, but I somehow feel like the moment they stop being repetitive and the moment they stop doing NewJeans the way NewJeans usually is, people are again going to just not be there because that's usually how they are. They will complain about that you literally need to switch it up. And then once you do, they'll say, maybe not in that way. Which, again, would also take me to another story for another time, which is the double standard reality of this, because a boy group is literally able to release 10 years worth of music that sounds exactly the same, but if they show their abs and if the song is about sex, they'll do it and no one will complain about the fact that they're just continuously releasing the same stuff. And that's not me being a boy group hater because literally most of my olds are boy groups. But I'm not gonna lie, boy groups definitely have it much easier in terms of this nowadays than girl groups. Although girl groups are dominating, they're dominating in an industry that is telling them every 2 days to switch it up or they're boring. But that's basically what I just wanted to be able to talk about and say, which is that everyone needs to fucking calm down and let these girl groups do their life and live their life and do the music that they feel great doing and doing the music that is amazing for them to do. If a girl group that you follow and stan is basically releasing music that you feel like is repetitive, do yourself a favor and stan another girl group that does maybe other sound and other type of music, and you will realize just how amazing it is to have a certain other girl group that you love the sound of to go back to. I feel like what these people need is to become multi-stans, because if they do, all of this issue will be resolved. But maybe that's just me as a multi-stan, again, being biased. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and let me know if there's any other topics that you'd like to see me talk about, maybe. Although I feel like this was kind of a rant, but I guess this is just how I also like to do it. So let me know in the comments down below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.